Hello everyone, it's Tilly from Tilly Jones. Welcome back to my channel and to another plan with me video. I am planning this week using a Plannerface kit. It was the February mystery. It is called London, February 2024, and I am using it because we went down to London at the weekend of this week to celebrate my friend's 30th birthday. Her birthday was on the Friday. I do PR for Plannerface, so you can use Tilly to save 10% at Plannerface and mention me for an extra PR freebie. Super exciting things occurring. What else am I using? I am using the strawberry kit, foil bundle that was Caress Press but came with a Squirrel Pinsco mystery. Anything else I'm using? And then I'm using solid blue underlays from my shop underneath the red checker ones from the foil bundle. And this, I don't know why my brain didn't register this, but I didn't think about the fact that putting the red on the blue would make it look purple in places, which is really interesting. It does it more so on the camera, it doesn't so much in person, but yeah, in places it looks purple. I also just did the underlays badly with this kit because I had quite a few day extenders and stuff, and the way I did it didn't really make sense and it was all a bit of a mess. In short, what else happened this week? It was our wedding anniversary on the Tuesday. I did celebrate that in my planner the week before this because I wanted to use the London kit for going to London. Finished 3 books, which I will talk about in a little minute. And I think that's kind of it. My friend's party was mostly the Saturday and seeing her and stuff. So let's get into the books I read. So the first one that I read is The Love of My Afterlife, and this is essentially a romance. Obviously the love of my afterlife, what else is it going to be? And I actually got this as a ARC, so thank you to NetGalley for sending me it. And it's essentially about somebody who dies, and then when she gets to the afterlife, she meets a guy basically, but then he hasn't actually died. So her name is Delphi, I think I want to say. So yeah, she meets a guy, but then he was only under anaesthetic and hadn't died, and then she's offered a deal basically to go back to the real world and connect with the mysterious stranger if she can get a kiss from him within a week, because this guy is supposedly her soulmate or possible soulmate. So if she can get a kiss off him, she doesn't die and she can go back to the world. So that is kind of the premise. It's a good book, don't get me wrong. It's very strange. I give it sort of 3.5 stars because I felt like it dragged in some sections, and there were too many little coincidences and stuff like that I wasn't a big fan of. I did kind of predict the ending from the start in places but not in others, and I don't know, it was good. I read it as an ARC. I would recommend it. I recommend you read it. I've seen it quite a lot in the works, so it won't be too pricey. So yeah, I'd recommend you go read it if you like romances, but it's definitely got some magical realism in it. Delphi speaks to M, I think her name is. I can't remember her name. The woman up in the afterlife that let her come down, and yeah, basically it's a good book. If you like romances, I'd recommend. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't, bother. But that's a bit kind of true of any romance book, isn't it? The next book I read was The Family Upstairs, and essentially, oh my god, my phone is being really buggy. It is about it's told from 3 perspectives of children from this house that they used to live in when they were kids. So essentially when they were little, so I'm going to just read the description because I don't know how to better explain it. In a large house in London's fashionable Chelsea, a baby is awake in her cot. Well fed and cared for, she is happily waiting for someone to pick her up. In the kitchen lie 3 decomposing corpses. Close to them is a hastily scrawled note. They've been dead for several days. Who's been looking after the baby, and where did they go? Two estranged families, a house with the darkest secrets. A compulsive new thriller from Lisa Jewell. So yeah, I didn't enjoy this. I gave it 1.5 stars, which basically means it's not, I didn't enjoy it at all. Sort of not quite should have DNF'd, but yeah. It's told from several perspectives, and you don't know like their relation to one another or to the child, the baby. Actually, the only thing you do know is the baby is basically, the baby inherits the house many years later, and then she goes back to it and she's trying to work out what went on. There's the involvement of a journalist who worked on the article at the time and stuff like that. It's like when the baby was found. So yeah, it's quite interesting concept, but I didn't like the way it was executed. It's kind of a cultish book, and I'm not big into them. Like, that's not my cup of tea or anything like that. So yeah, it's just not something I would enjoy. That's kind of where what I've got to say on it. I didn't enjoy it. I don't think I'd necessarily recommend it unless that sounds like absolutely incredible to you. I probably wouldn't bother. And I'm not sure like the ending was particularly satisfying either. It was just a bit like, it's fine, the ending, which I know sounds awful, but yeah, it's pretty much how I felt about it. I was just like, okay, well, that's done. And I think I listened to it on audiobook as well. Yeah, I did. I'm just looking. So I'm in two minds about audiobooks, right? Because sometimes I read them really quickly because I can multitask whilst listening to an audiobook, so I get through them much quicker than I would the physical book. But in others, like if a story drags, oh my god, it drags in audiobook form so badly. So yeah, but then it drags in book form as well. So who knows? I don't know what I'm trying to say. If it drags, it drags, and this is a book that dragged for me. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Then last but not least, the third book I finished this week was Speak, the graphic novel. So Speak is by Laurie Halsley Anderson, and then E.M. Carroll did the illustration to make this into a graphic novel. There is a novel of this, a non-graphic novel version of Speak, and I think if you want the full story impact, actually I think probably the novel will work better, but I did like the graphic novel, so I gave it 3.5 stars. There are quite a lot of trigger warnings for this. I'm gonna say rape/sexual assault is a fairly major one, so if that's something that's gonna trigger you, probably don't do it. I believe this is semi-autobiographical, but it's not. I'm not certain though. But essentially, Melinda is an outcast at her school. Something bad happened over the summer and nobody will talk to her, let alone listen, so what's the point in speaking? Through her art project, Melinda is finally able to face what really happened that night, but before she can make peace with the ghosts of the past, she has to confront the reality of the present and stop someone who wishes to do her harm. Only words can save her. She can't stay silent, not anymore. So it's basically about a young woman who is trying to find her voice and speak up about this horrendous thing that happened to her, and a lot of the book is about people outcasting her because essentially she told people after the sexual assault to phone the police, and they thought that she was calling the police and that got the party they were at shut down, and so she kind of was ostracized for that. But yeah, it's a book I think that is worth reading. I feel like I've kind of just told you the whole plot, but it's kind of given it's pretty obvious from what you can see, the blurb and the cover and stuff. It's quite obvious what the book is going to be about, and it's kind of a journey about how they get there, not what happens, I think. So yeah, that is the 3 books I have read this week. You can see me there putting the boxes down and struggling so hard with the underlays for this spread. I don't know what my brain was doing. It was not doing smart things. But we'll get into the day by day for now so I can have a good chat whilst I'm putting down the day by day stickers. We've got about 20 minutes left of the video, and I think quite a lot of it will be focused on the weekend because I've probably got more to say about that than anything else. And yeah, it was a good week, I think. It was a reasonably decent week. I've been back about a week, and yeah, let's just get into it and talk about what happened. So on the Monday the 10th, I put in that I was feeling brighter. I was struggling with quite a lot of jet lag still at this point in the month, and yeah, I was finding that really hard, but I woke up this day feeling a little bit brighter and a bit more like myself. So I did a bit of a tidy up of our house, ready for my occupational therapist to come for my last session. So I had my last OT session, and it was a bit of an evaluation and stuff, and like where I move on from there, and it was really good. Like, it was really nice to like chat about how much progress I'd made, because I started seeing my OT back in like October, November last year, so like more than 6 months ago, just because we'd had a couple of gaps and stuff in appointments. And like the progress I'd made, like before, like back then I wasn't even back at work. I was writing like 3 things on my to-do list, and if I did those 3 things it was impressive, and here I am putting up 2 videos a week and like back at work. Yes, back at work 60%, but that was the plan. Like, the plan was not to go back full time. The plan was 80%, with 60% being for when we have kids, but like I still got to that back at work, and that is incredible. So yeah, I just marked in that it was a really, really positive session, and it made me feel like I'd come a long way, and it was nice to reflect back on like how much had changed. Yeah, which is incredible. Like, I think about it, and sort of a year ago I was barely getting off the sofa. Like, I was really not in a good brain space at all. So it is nice to look back on like older spreads and be like, oh yeah, a lot has actually changed. I'm doing a lot better than I was. So that's that. Then I sat and did some redating of planners. I'd run a pre-sale on planners whilst I was away on holiday, and I had to get them all out in June because they were July start planners. So I sat and did some redating of planners. Then I went for a walk to get my steps in, just to try and, stretch my legs, get those steps in. Then I did some reading. I haven't marked what I was reading at this point, presumably because I wanted to use the read script. I quite often do use the read script for the first thing of the session. Why are words failing me? For the first reading session of the week, because there's normally a read script in foil bundles. So I do that. Then at this point I was still trying to catch up on my journal from my holiday. God, why are words so hard? Right, so here's what I mean. Like, if you just like glance at the screen now, the blue proper looks purple, but it isn't. It's blue, and it doesn't look like that in person. It looks blue, not purple. It just, yeah, it's trippy. So yeah, I was busy catching up on my journal and things like that, which was good. I do get caught up, I think maybe in this week, maybe the next week, I don't know. This journal catch up on Sunday of this week, so who knows. Then I had a planning call with Sophie, my best friend. We have basically sorted out that we sit together and plan once a week. So I plan generally in my off-camera planner, but sometimes if it's on a Monday, I will film in my filming planner, and I'll like film a video whilst we're on the video call, because it doesn't matter because I do the voiceovers. Then I had my CBT appointment, which I've just marked in with an appointment script. So I think this was like my second CBT appointment, or third maybe, but yeah, we were mostly just still doing assessment stuff, and it went well, really. Yeah, that is an ongoing process, and I don't have that many sessions left, which is a bit weird, but yeah, we've got plans going forward. We'll see what happens after my CBT finishes. Then I went to Rangers. It was mostly So we did like a D&V session, and then they also did a quiz, and me and Mum sat and did some more D&V stuff whilst the Rangers did their quiz. Rangers is very much girl led, so both they like organise their sessions and they decide what they're doing a lot of the time, and we're sort of there just facilitating it, if that makes sense. And that is it for the Monday. On to the Tuesday, it was our wedding anniversary, so I mark that in nice and big. Yeah, it was our second wedding anniversary. We have been married 2 years and 2 months, basically. And then was at work. I do work Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, for those of you that don't know. I'm not doing out of hours or on-call shifts at the moment based on occupational health recommendations. I marked in that it was a productive day at work, and actually I do remember this day. I was well impressed with myself because I was doing a like check of whether we had certain things ticked off for patients. I managed to do my ward round, all of the jobs from my ward round, that data collection, all by lunchtime before I had to go to teaching. And it was online teaching, so I was at home for it, and so I lay in bed and had some cuddles with my husband because he doesn't work Tuesdays whilst the teaching was going on, and then I accidentally fell asleep. I'm not going to say whether I fell asleep during the teaching or not. I'll leave you to guess whether it was during the teaching or not. After my nap, I did some building of Lego. I don't know what I was building at this point. I might have still been building Hogwarts. I can't remember when I finished that, oh no, this is after. Oh, I probably was building Haunted Mansion, because I think that's the only thing I built since we came back from holiday. Then we watched the first half / all of Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2, and by Part 2 I mean the second film. And then to finish off our like date night in, we watched our wedding video. We actually have, it's not like we didn't have a videographer, but we've got two like kind of wedding videos. One which is basically me singing the song that we signed our registry to, which was me, my mum and my sister recorded a song to play during the registry. So we had that on with wedding photos over the top of it, and also Sophie of Rhyme of Lands made a little vloggy photo video thing. It's like of all of the wedding, which was really cute of her. So yeah, I absolutely love that. So we watched those, and that is kind of it for Tuesday. On to Wednesday, it was a full-on teaching day. I did say I worked Monday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but last year, so before August, a Wednesday once a month was a teaching day, so this Wednesday was one of those. It was actually a really good teaching session this day. It was about like learning styles and how to revise for an exam that we have to do, but it wasn't like normal learning style stuff. It was really practical, and I found it really helpful. They talked about like how to structure your time and actually how to plan your revision, which I think is something people don't talk about. I went out for lunch with two of my friends, Valerio and Sam. Weirdly enough, Sam was actually working with my mental health team, which is a bit strange, but he was never allowed in conversation about me. And I also started texting a new friend who is called Kate, who is also less than full-time, and doesn't have kids or anything, so like we're in quite similar situations. And yeah, so that was nice. We had a good chat. Then you can see what I've marked in next when we get to it, but yeah, just some adult time with my husband. Watched some Once Upon a Time. Basically, I got really into my head, and I don't know why I was so sad and in my feelings, but I was really, really down, and like it was one of those days where I was like, I actually need to go for a walk to clear my head. I don't know why I'm so upset and so like bleh, but I really am super down, and I just need to get out of the house. So I went for a walk. On to the Thursday, so because I'd worked the Wednesday, I had the Thursday off work, which was a good job really, because I had lots of appointments and stuff. So first off, I slept in, and then I assume that is meant to mark like in my feelings or a breakdown or something. I don't remember. There's no script there still, and I don't know why there's no script there, but I suspect it's meant to just say in my feelings. So yeah, I was just struggling with the day and not feeling myself. Then I set the printer to print a load of covers for the planners. I was just trying to do bits and pieces of printing here and there because basically the main rate limiting step of making planners is the printing. Maybe I should get a second printer to do it with, but also it's confusing enough printing one at a time. So who knows whether I'll do that or not. Not for the moment anyway. Whilst I was doing some redating of planners, I put on the newer season of Love Island. I only watched about 3 or 4 episodes of it and gave up. I think this is the only day I actually watched it, but I tried to get into the series of Love Island and just absolutely could not. And whilst I was doing that, I was redating some planners for the orders, which was, it's just slow progress. It just needs doing. Basically, because I do so many varieties of planners, I just have to redate things quite often because, well, every season, because there's so many variations of what people could order. Moving on, I went and had my hair cut. I had it done by a Ukrainian refugee. I normally have one of my brother's old school friends that cuts my hair, but she is on mat leave at the moment, so she owns a salon, so one of her workers cut my hair this time. Unfortunately I didn't go back to her, basically because I wanted a balayage at my next appointment, and basically she wasn't available before a party that we had for my 30th, so I got somebody else to do it, and that other person basically works on my days off, so it kind of works perfectly for me to go to her. Then I went to the doctors to have some blood tests and my height and weight and blood pressure checked, basically because I'm on an antipsychotic, albeit a antidepressant dose, well, mood stabilising dose of antipsychotic. I need my weight and bloods checked every year. So I had that, and weirdly enough, I actually ran into my hairdresser at the doctors, who was there with her 1 week old newborn baby, so it was really nice to see them. I actually think their middle child is pretty similar in age, because I'm pretty sure she was on mat leave for my wedding last year, so yeah. So yeah, it was nice to see her and have a little bit of a catch up with my hairdresser, talk to her about her newborn and things. It was cute. Then came home and did a load more journaling catch up. As I say, I was just catching up from whilst we were abroad at the time, so yeah, just kind of was doing some of that. Then we got a McDonald's takeaway, God knows why, just probably it felt like it. Suspect Soch picked it up on his way home from work because he works on a Thursday. Then we watched some Once Upon a Time. I was listening to The Family Upstairs and did some DV mapping as well. So basically we have to check over the routes that they design and check it's safe and check their descriptions are descriptive enough and stuff like that. I'm pretty good at it, so I quite often do it because I can do it quite quickly. Oh god, I'm running out of breath and I don't know why. Shouldn't get breathless just talking, but oh well. On to Friday, I was at work that day and clearly I wasn't having the best day because I've marked that I was in my feelings. I had a therapy session after work. I did get 6 free therapy sessions with Mind, and this was one of those. I unfortunately couldn't actually do all 6, basically because she could only see me on a Friday, and it just got too stressful trying to leave work early, and after I'd missed 2, I was just I don't think I can do this, and she was like, no, I totally understand if it's getting really stressful. So yeah, we also decided this day that we were gonna drive down to London to my friend's that day on Friday, basically, so we didn't have to get up at stupid AM, because she realised she wanted us there an hour earlier than she'd asked, and we were already going to have to leave at 6, so we were like, well, we'll just go down to tonight. So we did that. So I did some packing before my husband got home, and then when he got home we just did the last little bits that he needed to be home for. Then we went on the drive down to London to my friend's house, so drove to Sweater's house. We got a McDonald's for our dinner on the way. Yes, we did get a McDonald's 2 days in a row. It's cool, it's all fine. And then my husband went to bed and I sat and chatted to Sweater for a little while because my sleep is really poor, and it still is really poor, but it is a bit better than it was at this point. So yeah, just had a sit and a chat with Sweater. On to Saturday, the big day, the day of her party, etc. Had a bit of a lie-in in the morning. I mean, I count everything past 7:30 as a lie-in because, yeah, 7:30 is like when I naturally wake up at the moment. It's not fun. Actually, I naturally wake up at 5 a.m. and then fall back to sleep deeply about 6 a.m. It's really annoying. Anyway, so then got glam and got ready for the day. She lives just outside London, so we got the train into central London and went for a really nice buffet lunch. Like, they did lots of different cuisines, including like Italian, Indian, Chinese, and honestly it was just such good food as well. But there was also some like, not cook your own, but like made to order food, and honestly their naan breads were 10 out of 10. They were made in a proper tandoori, and it was just like I could eat these all day. So yeah, I ate like 3 of the naans because they were excellent. That's mostly what I remember about the restaurant. Then we went off to a pub, some of us, and just did some chatting. It was one of these pubs that had like different activities to do, and we did a round of mini golf, and we did like Keelites, who are basically people that went to Kiel. So me, Soch, Sweater and Jack versus the non-Keelites, which were the other 4 people that were there. And we lost, like, it was a difference of like 1 point. So there's that. Which was, yeah, interesting. We're not that, like, it wasn't really a competitive thing. It was just for fun, really, to celebrate and pass some times. Then we went on to a boat party on the Thames. That was what my friend wanted to do for her 30th. So yeah, we just basically got on a boat, drank alcohol, looked at views. It was great fun. She is quite a photo-y person, so we took quite a lot of photos to start with. And then we did some dancing. It was way too loud for my liking, and I definitely had earbuds in most of the night. And it was just getting too much. I didn't love being like stuck there because you couldn't leave or like go to anywhere quiet, because even the toilets were loud. Like, it was just loud everywhere, and it's just, yeah, it got me a bit like in my feelings. So I very much needed some snuggles when we got back with my hubby. So obviously we did get the train back out of central London and stuff as well, but I didn't see the point in marking that in. On to the Sunday, slept in again. As I say, most weekends that people count a normal time for getting up is a lion for me, but yeah. And then me and my husband went for brunch with Sweater. Jack unfortunately had to leave and get a really early train out of London because he is awful for booking his train tickets last minute, and just like, yeah, pretty much walked on the train and buys one there, so it's never particularly cheap for him. At the pub they had some games, and we played Millennial AF and Jenga. Millennial AF was basically different phrases, and you had to decide who was the most likely person on the table to have done that thing. So yeah, it's like, who's the most millennial of us? It was a bit weird, and surely you know what Jenga is. We then went back to Sweater's house and we played Scribed, which is essentially, if you've ever played Gartic Phone, it's basically a board game version of that, but you draw a picture and then the next person has to guess what it was, and then from their description the next person draws a different picture, and then you go over the answer, like what has happened. It was quite funny. Then we drove back to our house back in Yorkshire, listened to my audiobook on the way home, got home, did some journaling catch up, and watched some Once Upon a Time, which, as I've talked about, is one of my favourite shows. And that is pretty much it for this video. I'm flicking through the leftovers here, and I've given you a bit of a foil wiggle. I think I'll do another little bit one. So comment, like down below, all that kind of jazz, and I will see you next time. Bye!